Lauren's ready.
Yeah.
Got 'em.
All right, I have 7:02 PM, so let's get started. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Morristown Township Board of Education, which has been properly noticed in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. May I please get a moment of silence? Please rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you take roll call, please, James?
Mrs. Arcara Burns. Mrs. Fallows Macaluso. Dr. Myatt. Mrs. Miller.
Here.
Mrs. Morano.
Here.
Mr. Romano. Mr. Weeks.
Present.
Mrs. McCopolis.
Here.
Mr. Villanueva.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. As a routine matter, may I please get a motion to approve the minutes set forth in the agenda at item 7A? All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes or abstentions? From all or anyone? No, that's fine. There's several different dates, so I wasn't sure if you were. Okay.
25th.
Great. Any other abstentions? All right, thank you. Well, thanks everyone for being here. It's hard to believe that this is our second to last board meeting of this academic year. It's May and graduation is right around the corner. And while in many respects, it's hard to believe that it's already here. As I was thinking about it earlier today, where September of 2022 seems like eons ago to me, not only just sort of in terms of looking at my own kids' growth, but where we are as a district. We faced some significant challenges, I think. And, with the sudden departure or unexpected departure of our prior superintendent, I think we had some unforeseen obstacles, but I think the community, our school community, from students, staff, principals, administration, the board, I think we have really risen to the occasion as a school community, and move things forward, notwithstanding the challenges that we faced this year. So thank you to everyone. Thank you again to the students, teachers, administration, especially the teachers, right? We're coming off the heels of Teacher Appreciation Week, and I know there were a lot of great events last week, but it is worth mentioning the board's appreciation for the staff here. And so thank you. And, we have plenty of obstacles ahead, and I am confident that if we move forward together as a community at all our levels, we may not agree on every little thing, but if we move forward with the common goal of doing what's best for our kids, I know that we're going to do great things. So I just wanted to note that. I'd sent an email out to the community last week regarding our superintendent search, and was very, very pleased to report that Mr. Bollendorf has agreed to stay on with us for another academic year. And so while we do not yet have a contract in place, he'll be with us through June of 2024, which the board unanimously agreed is the best thing for our district right now. As I've updated in the past, we have been engaged in the search for a permanent superintendent. We met with many great candidates. We reviewed lots of great submissions. With having seen Mr. Bollendorf in really just 4 short months, the things that he has done have really been incredible. Oftentimes you'll hear that an interim superintendent is there just to keep the seat warm, and he's done nothing but the opposite. I mean, he has grabbed the bull by the horns. has really jumped into this district with his heart and his mind. And it was obvious, I think, to everybody on the board and from everybody that I've spoken to in the district, quite frankly. So we have not ended our search for a permanent superintendent at all. Our timeline is different, but we haven't ended it. And we will continue to search for our permanent, and including my personal hope is that the candidates that we've already met with remain interested in taking the permanent seat. So again, thank you to Mr. Bollendorf for agreeing to stay with us for another year. I'm thrilled. And, we have a lot of work ahead. And I think that the district is best suited by having you help guide us through that. So thank you. And that concludes my remarks.
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly humbled by those remarks and it's much appreciated. When you're in my position and you're retired and you have lots of other irons in the fire, like we just found out that I have a grandchild on the way, my first, I'm very excited. You have the ability to pick and choose and do things that you want to do. And it was my absolute intention to help this district for a short while they search for a new superintendent. But I say to you with all sincerity that in the 4+ months that I've been here, I've really come to fall in love with the district and the people that work here and the things that are being done. Naturally, there's always obstacles and things that get in the way, and there's conversations to be had, and sometimes they elevate the debate. But the one thing that's been very evident to me is there's a deep sense of caring for kids. And that's something that resonates very deeply with me. And as long as we're continuing to make decisions that are in the best interest of our kids, I'm happy to be a part of that any place, anywhere. So I'm humbled that Morristown feels as though I can continue to provide and to support and to lead in that regard. And I will continue to give all of myself during the next 13 months while I'm here. There's a lot to be done, and I'm very happy and humbled to be a part of it. So thank you for your very kind words. And I thank you and the rest of the board for their confidence in me. Having said that, I have an update. I've been in conversation with the mayor, and it would appear we are definitely moving through with the hiring of 3 SLEO 3s. Those particular postings are going up now with the hopes that the new public safety director, upon his arrival in early June, will be able to begin the interview process. And with the start of next school year, we would hope to triple the size of our police coverage in our buildings. So I'm very excited and happy to report that to the community. Just a reminder that Memorial Day weekend, I can't say this enough because I don't want somebody showing up and we're not here, that the district is closed on Friday, May 26th, Monday, May 29th, and Tuesday, May 30th. So I hope you all have an opportunity to enjoy a very long and happy Memorial Day weekend. Graduation has been mentioned, again, scheduled for June 22nd. That's a rain or shine event, so that's definitely going to happen. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, it was mentioned at our last board meeting, I want to follow up with regards to the development and redevelopment of the DEI committee. It may take on a very different look. I don't really know what it looked like before and who was involved, but the vision is to create a committee that would be really diverse, would involve staff members, administrators, students, community members, community leaders, all in an effort to ensure that we continue to move in a positive direction, that every child that attends this district, every staff member that works in this district feels belonging, feels like they belong, feels like they're appreciated, and has a voice in this community. And as an educational institution, it very much resonates, and I have a very deep belief that when schools are happy places where kids feel comfortable going, where teachers look forward to come to work every single day, great things happen. That's something that I deeply believe in with all my heart. And I think every good district works towards that goal, to create an environment where we can flourish, because we recognize that in the giving of education, creating an environment where kids feel a part of and teachers feel a part of and feel welcome and part of the community enhances the product, enhances the work of the education. So that committee will be committed to helping us foster and create that on a wider platform. So I'm happy to engage that work. Carol Butler will be leading that charge. And I know information will be coming out over the course of the summer, inviting community members to send their interest in wanting to be a part of that committee. So with that, I turn things over to our student representatives. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lucas McGill, and I'm your senior class Board of Ed liaison. Tonight, I have some information for you about graduation, the 50th class reunion tours, and a little bit about this weekend's prom, or last weekend's prom, sorry. We're right on track to graduate on June 22nd. At this point, everyone's committed to their respective schools and ready to continue on their own individual paths. Classes are either winding down after AP tests or gearing up for finals, and Mr. Seibel has some senior activities planned for us for the week of graduation. On the Monday before, we have the senior picnic. On that Tuesday, we have a graduation rehearsal. The next day on Wednesday, we have the senior memories breakfast and another graduation rehearsal. And then on Thursday, we have the actual graduation commencement ceremony. As for prom, the dance was from 6:30 to 11 last Friday night at Lucian's Manor. So far, we've received nothing but glowing reviews. The food, venue, and music were all fantastic and made for an amazing evening. Finally, the tour for the graduates of the class of 73. The student council has been putting together a short video featuring all the decades since the class of 73. There'll be 54 graduates who will celebrate their anniversary that day. And after watching a short video, student council representatives will take them around in the school in 4 groups to show them what's changed since their years here. Some of the stops would include the new library, the new Mac gym, the new science wing, and the additions to the front of the school. Guests will also be able to see updated copies of the blueprint to the school and all of its recent changes. We'll be there from 9 to 10 a.m. and I know the class of 73 graduates and their committee are very excited for what we have in store. Thank you very much, and I'd like to pass it off to our junior class liaison.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bhavika, the junior class liaison, and I'm here to talk about AP exams and prom. So the months of April and May for high schoolers have been very, very busy. Among finding the right dress, shoes, jewelry, and outfits for prom weekend, we had been very busy studying for AP exams. These exams took place over 2 weeks, with AP US Government and Politics kicking off AP exam season on May 1st, and AP Latin and Physics 2 closing it off on May 12th. This year was also College Board's first year administering digital exams, and the tests that were available digitally for MHS were Computer Science Principles, Language and Composition, Literature and Composition, European History, and US History. I was glad to have taken the Lang exam digitally. Our test has a multiple choice section and 3 essays. While I was nervous to take the multiple choice part digitally because I know I'm a big annotator and I love writing all over the page, the exam format was very user-friendly and I could highlight text and add notes in the margin. I was also very glad to have written the exams by typing, and I'm sure the AP graders are as well, because I know some of my classmates' handwriting is awful, having done lots of peer review. But we could go back, change sentences, delete text, copy and paste our text. That was very, very helpful. And I'm glad that the Lang exam was digital. As for prom, after the 2 stressful weeks, our juniors and seniors were able to slip into their best outfits and get ready for prom. This was my first prom, and it was certainly memorable. The event venue was Lucian's in Berlin, and it was very luxurious and grand, and it had lots of spots for photos, which is a must for any high school dance. I also love the DJ we had. He played some Bollywood music, so you'll know I was a very big fan of the DJ. Between dancing, eating, and taking photos, I have no idea where the time went, and I honestly couldn't have asked for a better first dance. I would just like to thank MHS administrators and student council advisors for supervising the dance and setting everything up. I'm very grateful for all of their efforts, consideration, and dedication. This is also my last board meeting for this year because Jack will take on the June one. And I would just like to say I'm very happy to have met all of you, and I'll be back next year as a senior, ready with more speeches. So, bye. I'd like to pass it off to our sophomore class liaison, Amit.
Good evening, board members. Like she said before, I'm Amin Kazmi, your sophomore board liaison. Today, I have updates for our previous Brandywine visits. For those who don't know, on April 18th and 27th, we visited Brandywine, like it was an old folks' home, and many of our council members hung out with the old folks there, telling the stories, coloring, playing cards, and just getting to know them better to give them a good experience to know what our youth is doing nowadays, which I'm sure many are curious of what's happening. This was one of our ways to say thank you to one of the organizations, Brandywine, that came to our love fair earlier in this year, if you remember. And we'll actually be going back to Brandywine this Thursday, the 18th, and we're gathering many students to go. Many student council members will go, and many off the student council will come as well, just our normal student body. It's open to everyone. And that's really all I have today, and thank you, and I'll pass it off to my freshman liaison.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dom Gorman, freshman class liaison. As we approach the end of the school year, almost a month away, students and staff are getting ready for summer, but more importantly, finals, as we review and prepare and practice things we've learned throughout the year. Not just the end of the school year is approaching, but the end of our athletic year is coming to an end. Here is a recap of the sports seasons this year, or spring sports seasons. Our baseball team is 8-9 and are ranked number 10 in the Olympic Conference, with just 3 more games before playoffs. Boys golf has done great with a 14-2 record and just won the South Central Group 3 state championship. Boys lacrosse team is 8-7 and are ranked number 3 in South Jersey Group 3 and have 4 more games before playoffs. Boys volleyball is off to a good start with 9-9 record and have 4 more games before playoffs. Boys tennis is 12-6 and are ranked number 8 in Group 3 and have 6 more matches before playoffs. Boys track is 5-2 with 3 meets left before playoffs. Girls golf is 9-3 and are ranked number 2 in South Central Group 3. Girls lacrosse is 12-2 and are number 4 in all of New Jersey. They have 4 more games before playoffs. Girls track is 6-1 and only have 3 meets left before the end of their season. Softball is off to a hot start at a 15-3 record and ranked number 2 in the Olympic Conference. We wish special luck in all of these team seasons. Thank you for having me here tonight. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you as always. You're free to go enjoy the nice weather out there and we'll see some of you next month. But Vavika, thank you for your updates. We won't see you next month, but look forward to seeing you next year. Bye. Okay, next up are board committee reports. I'll start off with the ad hoc committee on new housing developments. As I mentioned last month, the board has created an ad hoc committee tasked with looking at new housing that's coming to town and the impact it's going to have on our schools and enrollment and the like. And so this was our first meeting as a committee, and the committee comprises of Danielle Miller, Mick Weeks, and Brooke Myatt. I'll get it one of these days. We met last Friday, sort of as a kickoff meeting. We have been, over the course of the last few months, Mr. Bollendorf and I have been meeting with the township to talk generally about the financial arrangements that are attached to the various developments that are coming to town. I believe there's a total of 7. Don't quote me on that, but we've been engaged in some conversations about, what type of revenue stream the district could receive from these various locations. And we are continuing to do our due diligence on that. We have a copy of the arrangement with the developers of the Moorestown Mall, and we're sort of trying to digest that and understand that. So the committee talked about that quite a bit. It was mostly a brainstorming session, sort of what we think we need to do in the very near term to make sure that we are well positioned financially and structurally to handle a potential influx of students. Now, one of the things that I think there's agreement on is that we should hire a demographer to give us sort of a population study and the potential impact of these various new developments. And that will help us inform our decision-making going forward. So that's something that we intend to do in the near term, is to hire the demographer to assist us and inform our decision-making. So again, it was really just a general brainstorming session that I think many of you on the board are familiar with the subjects that we've been kicking around. So unless there's any other questions or comments, I'll move along. Okay. Let's go with communications, Jill.
Yep, so this is a quick one. We didn't meet this past month due to scheduling conflicts. And as you can see, we had a long list of extra and special meetings. So we are scheduled to meet on May 24th.
Thank you. Curriculum, Lauren.
Sure. We met on May 11th, Dr. Benton, Dr. Hassel, Jeff Airy, Mick Weeks, Cheryl Makopoulos, Danielle Miller, and myself. We reviewed the field trips. There was a total of 3. These again are day trips. That was informational only. We then discussed, Dr. Benton is in the process of creating a request for reconsideration of instructional or library materials procedure. Dr. Benton updated the procedure. We discussed, gave some input with specific attention to number 8. I included the proposal in the minutes, so you can refer to that or ask any questions of Dr. Benton. She will have office hours for that. There is continued working of it, so it will again come into the June curriculum meeting for continued review and discussion. And then we heard from Dr. Hassel about the UES summer reading discussion. The committee, she explained, was comprised of teachers, the media specialists, ELA supervisor, and building administrator. They selected for the UES one book was going to be a graphic novel this year, Marshmallow and Jordan by Alina Chow. The novel was selected based on the criteria of its themes that the school wanted to develop and take a look at and weave into the curriculum and activities throughout the school year next year. I thought what was really great was that the UES was also going to be rolling out a parent's guide for assisting their children with the summer reading, and students that are in the ESY program will receive support with reading the novel. WAMS is being pushed back to present to curriculum until the June meeting because their selection process was a little bit delayed because of the implementation of the new SLE program. They wanted to have that in place before they selected the novel, so that should be coming to the committee next month. And that was it.
Any questions?
I just have one question. Just to clarify for WAMS, will it be more than one novel for the children to choose from, or is it just one novel that the administration?
Go ahead,
selects?
Dr. Benton.
So they are in the process of deciding. The committee is scheduled to meet again. Their purpose in looking at it this year is that they're going to be bringing on both a new ELA program as well as a new SEL program. And so they're trying to understand when they return to school, how they can use, whether it's going to be one book or whether it's going to be a list of books, how they're going to utilize the theme is what they're really focused on to connect the literacy and the SEL programming, especially because they're launching both of those. So we'll have a full update in June.
Any other questions?
And then just to confirm, I think you said this, but 9130 is coming back to committee next month, the procedure. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Weeks, could you give us an update on finance and operations?
Certainly, happy to. So among the action items, first of all, I'm just jumping right in. I'm eager. We met on May 2nd. In attendance, besides me, Cheryl Makopoulos, Danielle Miller, and Claudia Moreno were there. And then on the staff side, Joe Bollendorf, James Heiser, Jeff Airy, and Carol Butler. So action items that we discussed. We approved or recommended that the board approve the girls' basketball trip, a award for grounds The current vendor was the low bidder and it was within budget, so I believe that's on tonight. We also talked about another resolution that's on the agenda tonight around commercial driver's licenses and making it easier, hopefully, for us to get bus drivers. And then another item that's on the agenda tonight, the paraprofessional codicil. So those are the things that the committee recommended favorable action by the board on all of those items. Then things for discussion. We talked about the rewriting of the job descriptions, and Carol is working on that and is going to work with Joe and then share that with the committee, targeting August to get through the 50+ descriptions that need to be completed. We looked at the ROD grant. ROD was regular operating district, right? Look at that, pay attention. Regular operating district grant submission. We talked about the status of that. As we recently discussed, talked about the auditor contract. We had a discussion about the RFP. We expect to put a bid out for the district's auditor. We talked about an article that actually I came across, but brought to the whole committee for conversation about school Chromebooks creating a huge amount of electronic waste. So we talked about the district's use of technology and specifically focusing though on total cost of ownership. And Mr. Ari and Mr. Heiser, we're going to collect more data about the total cost of ownership we have with our devices and looking at how we use other devices as well, and come back and make recommendations from that standpoint. And certainly we'll consult with the curriculum committee about the most appropriate technology. So combining those things was one of the outcomes of that conversation. As Mr. Villanueva referenced, we talked about looking into getting a demographer to help us as we look at the housing that's being developed here in town. And then talking about enrollment projections and that we're already reaching a cap with some grades, and looking at how to allocate our teacher resources and where the slots may be for students, where we may have to create slots for students as they come into the district. But just making sure we were aware of what's going on there. So those were the main discussion points during that meeting. So any questions, comments? Did I leave anything out? Okay. Great, thank you.
Claudine, could you give an update on policy, please?
We met on May 9th. It was myself, Melissa Arcaro Burns, and Jill Fallis Macaluso, Mr. Bollendorf, and Dr. Benton. We do not have any policies on first reading. We only have 2 regulations and 2 policies on second reading that we went over last time. 2 regulations are mandatory that we don't have in place, that we are putting in place. I have to do with compensatory special education, as well as lead testing of water in schools. The 2 policies are also mandatory from the state, mostly terminology changes that we're already complying with, and also board member orientation and training that I think we all realize we need to kind of have a lot of stuff up front that we haven't been getting and need to have a plan in place. So this is helpful. So there was 2 major items for discussion, one more global and one very specific. We've been talking about community organizations, boosters, and parent organizations, and we're very, very close to having a draft policy to be proposed for first reading. I'm hoping for the next board meeting. And the other issue is more global about we're making changes to policies, we're adopting policies and regulations. Karen does a great job at distributing it to administration and staff that are in charge of those areas and those subject matter areas. I think we can do a better job taking a more, we're aligned to take a more structured approach to operationalizing newer amended policies. And I think Joe has been really good at saying that we, can look at that process to make sure those policies are filtering down to those people implementing it and do a better job communicating or the shared vision and reason why we made some changes to certain policies, making sure there's execution accountability. And, there's no reason to have all these policies if we're not keeping them up to date, reviewing them and making sure when they are approved that they're actually being followed. And if they need to be tweaked, hearing back from administration that they need to be tweaked. Any questions?
Great. Thank you very much. Next up, does anybody have any off-board committee update? No? All right, moving on. We will move to our first public comment section on agenda items. Ground rules are set forth in the agenda. The Cliff's Notes version is please keep your comment to 3 minutes and state your name before making the comment. And this section pertains only to items that are on tonight's agenda. May I have a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Favor?
Aye.
Anybody has a public comment on agenda items, please approach the microphone. Seeing none, may I get a motion to close public comment? All in favor? Okay, moving on to reports to the board. May I please get a motion to approve items 1 through 4 as set forth in section 7 of the agenda? 8, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes or abstentions? Okay. Item 10, recommendations of the superintendent. 9. These Roman numerals are. My Mr. Brody would be embarrassed. Roman 9, may I please get a motion to approve the policies on for second reading? Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes or abstentions? Letter B, educational program. May I please get a motion for approval of items 1 through 4 under letter B?
So
Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
aye.
Those are abstentions. Thank you. Finance and business. There are 12 items set forth under the finance and business section of the agenda. May I please get a motion for approval of items 1 to 12? Any comments or questions? I'd just like to extend a thank you to the folks that are listed in the donations section of the agenda that donated amounts of money to both the boys and girls golf programs. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes or abstentions? Thank you. Employee relations. May I please get a motion to approve items 1 to 15 in the employee relations section?
Second.
Any comments or questions? This is a roll call vote.
Mrs. Arcaro Burns.
Yeah.
Mrs. Fallis Macaluso. Dr. Myatt. Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Morano,
Yes.
Ms. Romano, Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Mrs. McCopolis.
Yeah.
Mr. Villanueva.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. As part of our personnel section, we have approved the appointment of Sean Kennard, who is currently our athletic director, to the position of assistant principal at the high school. And I see Sean is here, so if we can give him a round of applause and congratulations. Very well deserved, and thanks for taking a break from the fields to come join us. So congratulations, Sean. Okay, next, Roman 10 includes suspensions, which is just for informational only. Item B is the superintendent's HIB report, which reflects the HIB cases that we discussed in executive session last month. May I please get a motion for the approval of item 10B? Second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Noes or abstentions? Okay, thank you. Item 11 is our enrollment information. Item 12 is old business. Is there any old business? Any new biz? Well, I know there is some new business. As we discussed in executive and that was handed out to the board, there is a resolution authorizing the business administrator / board secretary to advertise and create a competitive contracting RFP as set forth in the accompanying memo that we received in executive. So may I please get a motion for approval of that resolution? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any noes or abstentions? Okay, is there any other new business? All right. Thank you. We'll now move on to our second public comment section. This is for public comment related to items both on or off the agenda, and the ground rules are set forth in the agenda itself. May I please get a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
If you'd like to make a public comment, please approach the microphone.
Hello, I'm Erin Kitley and I work at Baker School. I would like to commend and thank the Baker staff for a couple of really fun things. The first graders at Baker School had a spring concert on May 5th under the direction of music teacher Kristen Zaranin. The students did a wonderful job singing songs while performing choreography and sign language. The concert touched the hearts of the audience members because the songs were about celebrating the love, support, and guidance of their families and friends. Second, for National Library Week, Mrs. Dunn from the Morristown Public Library visited the Baker kindergartners. Students enjoyed listening to several stories and making a reading banner to hang in their homes. Students were encouraged to visit the library during the summer and participate in their reading program and summer activities. The kindergartners at Baker School have been learning about different occupations and discussing what they want to be when they grow up. Officer Wright and the Morristown Police Department visited each kindergarten class to discuss his profession and to answer questions from students regarding his responsibilities. Here in Mrs. Garris's class, we've been on a spring fling, reading and learning about everything that comes with the season: life cycles, plants, insects, water cycles, rainbows, and clouds, among other things. We are mastering new vocabulary words such as arachnid, pollen, nectar, metamorphosis, polywog, condensation, and evaporation. We also learned some Spanish words surrounding Cinco de Mayo. We learned words related to friends, families, and colors. And some of us are using our AAC devices to talk about these interesting topics.
Hello, I'm Trish Kammerhoff. I work at Roberts. And first, I need to apologize for my snack stand baseball attire. But I would like to thank the Roberts staff for their Arbor Day performance. The children sang Your Grand Old Flag, a World War I era song to honor the veterans whom Remembrance Park is dedicated. The children also performed Dos Orguitas, a song from the movie Encanto about caterpillars transforming into butterflies, but also the importance of love, trust, and optimism. Some students danced as the caterpillars and butterflies for the song. The children ended with The Circle of Life from The Lion King, and they handed out homemade poppies to the audience members during the song to connect with the community as they gather. The students we teach are the future, and the circle continues. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Linda Kapastis and I work at WAMS. I'd like to commend the WAMS staff because on Friday, May 5th, WAM staff worked with members of the community to set up 2 separate engaging experiences for our students. In 7th grade, we worked with parents and other members of the community to come up with our classrooms and into our classrooms and present for STEM Career Day. Students were able to rotate through 3 different presentations of different careers. In 8th grade, students were paired with experts in their chosen topics for the end of year project in order to engage in a question and answer that allowed them to gather information for the action plan. A huge thank you to Lindsay Passy for her work organizing the parents, reviewing the presentations, creating the schedule, and making sure it was a great experience for all students for STEM Day, and to the entire end of year committee for organizing the 8th grade experience. It really was lovely. I was in the front end greeting everyone. Everyone was very engaged, and it was a very lovely event for both 7th and 8th grade.
Good evening. I'm Kim Martin and I teach here at WAMS, and I would like to commend and thank the UES music directors, the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade orchestra, band, and chorus students under the direction of their orchestra, band, and chorus teachers are preparing during special rehearsals for the upcoming spring concerts that are this week and next. Good luck to them.
Hi, my name is Tom Kasterak. I teach at South Valley School. I would like to commend and thank South Valley for the following. South Valley has worked with the First Baptist Food Pantry in various ways this year. Not only do we participate in the district-wide Food for All Friday program, which conducts a food drive the first Friday of every month, but also run the No Food Left Behind program. Bins are set out during the daily lunch, and packed food items such as cheese sticks and yogurts are collected and stored as special refrigerator, which was donated by a former South Valley family. Once a week, parent volunteers collect the donations and bring them to the First Baptist Food Pantry. Families are very appreciative to have these snacks available to them. For the 3rd grade service project, students created flyers and collected hundreds of items to keep Morristown Pantry stocked throughout the summer. The 3rd grade classes at South Valley have been studying the history of Morristown. As we finish our unit, we have many reasons of why we are proud of our community. Mrs. Devers' class will welcome Mayor Gillespie next Wednesday, so we can share many reasons with her in person. She even has her own paper doll on a bulletin board entitled "Famous People in Morristown." Thank you.
Hi, I am Celie Coleman. I'm at 215 East Main Street. I just had a follow-up question for the board regarding, I guess it was a survey with Lori Perlow. It was reviewing results of a stakeholder survey. It had, we're supposed to look at underutilized resources, and I think the wording was something like there's a higher level goals with an action plan pending. I think that was back in February or March. So I was just wondering if there was any follow-up to that, or if we've seen an action plan, or what's gonna be, what we can look forward to moving forward.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name's Amory Kerwin. I teach at Morristown High School, and I'd like to commend and thank the high school staff for facilitating a glorious prom at Lucian's. The student enjoyed the beautiful venue, the food, and the DJ. A special thank you to the class advisors, especially Ann Furlong and Barb Young, who did much work behind the scenes to ensure a wonderful night for 675 students. Also, a thank you to all of the AP teachers who prepared their students for the AP exams taken during school hours during the first 2 weeks in May. And also to provide a follow-up for students from the work-based learning program that were working at the airport. They partnered with Travelers Aid, a national organization that provides navigational assistance to travelers at American airports. For the last few weeks, students and job coaches have viewed TSA safety and airport protocol videos, taken TSA online tests, and finally cleared through security to work at the Philadelphia International Airport. Students went through intensive but lots of fun on-the-job training while learning how to navigate the airport. Yesterday, students were charged with manning the visitors desk in Terminal C. As job coaches stood side by side with their students equipped with iPads, They answered questions from weary travelers. One was from a woman needing to retrieve her license at TSA. Often they gave directions to baggage claim, also where the nearest Starbucks was, and if someone could exchange pesos, $2. The answer is you cannot at the airport. You need to go directly to a bank. And also they assisted special needs travelers. Our students displayed confidence, friendliness, and empathy. They listened intently, and when not sure what was needed, asked appropriate questions of the travelers. They engaged in friendly conversation with other workers at the airport. As a thank you, the Travelers Aid Company gave each student a $10 gift card. They activated their cards, ordered and bought their lunches on their own. We continue working through that site to June 12th.
Good evening. My name is Bill Kelly. I work at Morristown High School. In recognition of May as Mental Health Awareness Month, we all would like to recognize the work of our K-12 counselors. In the K-3 schools, counselors carry out the MTPS curriculum by delivering lessons for social and emotional growth to students via the classroom and by organizing whole school events. Counselors teach students emotional regulation strategies, celebrate random acts of kindness week and week of respect as examples. The UES counselors are instrumental in supporting classroom work with the Character Strong program in homeroom and implementation of the MTPS curriculum via classroom lessons. The counselors plan and host school-wide programming to support the well-being and success of all UAS students. WAM's counselors have served on the Social Emotional Learning Committee and the Student Behavior Committee to select programming and make implementation decisions for the upcoming school year. These counselors work closely with classroom teachers and administration to support student needs through service in the classroom, counseling offices, and after-school programs. At MHS, counselors work closely with students in the 9 to 12 continuum from program planning each year, inter and intra-personal skills, post-high school planning, and social emotional wellness via small group and one-on-one meetings with students. This year, 3 counselors are spearheading a grant provided by the NGDOE by implementing 6 sessions of teen mental health first aid training in the 11th grade physical education classes. Approximately 30 staff members have been trained in teen mental health first aid, and more will receive training over the next school year. Furthermore, all students in the district are also supported in small groups and with individual counseling. We thank our counselors for taking care of the mental health of our students, families, and us. Thank you.
Hi, Lisa Trapani. I have a couple questions and comments. Mr. Villanueva, did you say you authorized the BA to negotiate the contract for Joe, for Mr. Ballendorf? Who was the authorization to negotiate a contract at the end? I didn't hear
I'm
it.
not sure what your question is, but this isn't a question and answer session.
Okay, well, but just want to, I didn't hear what you said. It's not a question
Oh,
about.
you're asking, I'll address it after we close public comment.
Okay, so you repeat what you said then, so we could, okay, all right, because I didn't hear it. It's not a question about it. I just didn't hear it.
Understood.
Okay, and then if you can answer in the next thing, the question about the TLC, the grounds crew, if that is a renewal, is that the same company? I believe it is, but if you can answer that as well. And then the demographic study, just a comment that the last time we did a demographic study, it was grossly in error about how many students they predicted we were going to have. And to that end, you know, a lot of mistakes were made. So I would just caution looking maybe to the one we already did. I don't know. I'm not sure the name of the company. I'm sure I could find it way back when the hunt was built, before all of that happened. So just as a note of caution, that I don't necessarily think that the demographic studies always yield what is actually going to happen, because we were told that the Laurel Creek was going to be filled with empty nesters. And every unit basically had 2 to 3 students in it. So this is my comment about demographic studies. And lastly, just remember, we offered to help serve on the committee for the housing. So just let me know if, you know, you're interested. And then we have a couple people. I know Bridget reached out to you as well. Thanks.
you. Any further comment? No, seeing no one approaching, can I get a motion to close public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, and we'll move on for anything for the good of the order, and I will. Yeah, I was getting to that. Thank you. James, if you don't mind providing a little more meat on the bones with respect to the RFP.
I absolutely can. Thank you. So the RFP is to ultimately give me the authority to advertise and create a competitive contract request for proposal for the purpose of ultimately evaluating replacement options for our accounting software and package. So pursuant to public contracts law, the board needs to approve that authority for me to advertise such proposals. So right now, the authority is solely to put together that RFP, to advertise it, to be compliant with public contracts law. Happy to answer any questions related to that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Does anybody on the board have any questions about that? Okay, thank you. And Mr. Fani, thank you. I appreciate your offer to assist in the with our new committee examining new housing issues. And yes, Ms. Potts reached out to me, and we certainly are going to seek input and feedback from various stakeholders, including the MEA. So very much appreciate your willingness to put some time into that effort. And then with respect to the grounds bid, candidly, I don't know if it's the same company that we've been using. It is.
It's not it's the lowest bidder.
Okay. All right.
Hi. So with regards to the survey that was conducted, I was obviously done under the previous superintendent, and quite frankly, wasn't for Jill, hounding after through our communications committee, getting that information from Mrs. Perlow. Obviously, a survey and the information that it provides is always going to be utilized in helping us to make decisions moving forward with, whatever it is that we're trying to do. And right now, with the amount of potential change because of the influx of housing and the things that need to be done as it relates to that, the survey can be helpful in that regard. As it relates to specific things that we're doing, obviously taking stock of what's there. And I don't think I'm probably answering your specific question, but I'm very happy to understand a little bit more what you're seeking. Afterwards, I'd be happy to talk to you. So
Yeah,
thanks.
and if I could just chip in there a little bit too, because I didn't have a comprehensive communications committee update because we didn't meet. But 2 meetings ago, I did share, just to clarify, that the survey by Lori Perlow, the communications consultant that we engaged for a 2-year term under a shared services agreement with other neighboring districts, she sought feedback from various stakeholder groups, including parents, staff members, and the community at large about communication preferences and opportunities to use some underutilized resources when it comes to communicating. So for example, enhanced communications coming top down from the MTPS Facebook page. And I saw some of those this month myself. And then, using other underutilized platforms, maybe even updating or refreshing our website. So we as a committee have that communications action plan draft. It's really pretty simple. It's the types of things you would think about how we can leverage some of those underutilized resources to communicate more effectively in a more modern and progressive way. So that's what we'll be doing at the May 25th meeting, reviewing that draft plan. So I hope that provides clarity. Yep.
Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, at this time, the board is going to reconvene its executive session for the purpose of discussing confidential personnel matters. We expect to be in executive for about 30 minutes or so, but we do not intend to take any action afterwards. So with that, could I get a motion to go back into executive? All in favor? Thank you. All right, can I get a motion to go back into public session? All in favor? May I now get a motion to close, to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.